Hello and welcome back to KalandraTalks. This is part 2 of questions I was asked as a child. The next question is, could I have diabetes without knowing for a long time? The simple answer is yes, you can. With any disease that you do get or could have, you could have it for a long time without knowing. The only difference is it would become more severe if you had it for a very long time without knowing. And when I say severe, again, I'll use cancer as my example in this one along with diabetes. If you had cancer, there's 4 stages of cancer. So if you had cancer for a little bit, maybe by the time you catch it, you could be at a stage 2 or 3 versus catching it at stage 1. So with diabetes, if you do catch it at a later stage and you've had it for a while, you might come out with a vision issue where your eyes may not be in the best shape. Maybe your leg could get amputated. Maybe your kidneys could fail. Your pancreas is already failing. Liver problems. It would just come with more issues. So the overall answer, to summarize, is that you could have diabetes for a long period of time without knowing. It's just that you may want to get checked as soon as possible just for safety reasons and to be on the safe side, because if you don't, again, it can get really bad. The next common question that I've gotten before is, can diabetes be temporary and go away? So in regards to type 1 diabetes, once you have type 1 diabetes, where your pancreas cannot produce insulin or produces slim to no insulin at all, you'll always need to give yourself insulin outside of your body, whether it's in a needle form, a pen form, or in the insulin pump. You'll always need to give yourself insulin no matter what, once you are considered type 1 diabetes. For type 2, there are certain ways if you are to lose a certain amount of weight where you can more stabilize your diabetes. So it can say go away, but again, you would still need to be considerate and just careful. Your diets need to be long last. There is also another stage that they do call the honeymoon stage in type 1 diabetes, and it does go away, but it only goes away for one time out of your whole diabetic life. It goes away for a period of time. I myself already passed that stage where my body didn't need insulin for about 2 months, but it did come back where I did need that insulin again. I know the other thing in regards to it temporary being with you and going away, it's like diabetes when you're pregnant. Typically, it's just your sugars are a little bit higher than what they need to be. But then once you have your baby, I believe it goes away because it's only supposed to be diabetes while pregnant or during your pregnancy. The next couple of questions are just in regards to diabetes in general. So simple questions that I've had asked were, what is a meter? So the best way to describe a meter, it is just going to give you a number for your sugar. What is a meter? So it's going to read your blood sugar. 3 different machines that kind of work together, operate together to get your blood sugar. So the meter itself is just like electronic with a battery in it. Again, its purpose is going to give you a reading of your blood sugar number in the time of you testing. The next thing that does come with it is called a test strip. What is a test strip? So the test strip is what you're putting into the machine for it to read your blood and apply the blood to the test strip. The next thing, we call it a prick, or it's basically what it does is you're going to put a little machine to your finger. It's going to click, it's going to make a click sound. Keep in mind there is a needle inside of it, and you get some blood from your finger when you are applying that. So you'll apply it, you'll take it off, and then you'll take the blood, put the blood into this test strip, which is already inside of the meter, and then within about 3 seconds, 3 to 5 seconds, you'll get a blood reading. Typically, a good range for your blood reading, I'm talking in the Canadian side of things, is anywhere from 6.0 to about, I would say, 7.5, give or take. Now, some doctors may have their own theories. Everybody does have their own what target they want. The overall target for an A1C, sorry, is 6.0 to 7.5, I believe it is. I might be wrong, but I think that's the target. You can be lower and you can be higher, but there's an average range. Again, though, everybody does have a diabetic doctor, and they would be able to discuss what their targets are. The next question I commonly get is, does it hurt perking your finger? In the beginning, it did hurt. It's something we're not used to. So when we're not used to things, they will hurt, or you won't be used to doing them. As the last 20 years, 21 years of me dealing with diabetes, I don't feel anything. There are moments where if I do something maybe too fast, it may hurt, or if I do something in a rush, or maybe if there's a certain spot or way you handle any of the tools, it can hurt. So everybody is going to be different, but when I was younger, I would say it would hurt more than today's date. What is insulin? So insulin is, for me, what I've used insulin and what I can explain about insulin is that we all have insulin in our bodies. So normal people or people with diabetes, we all have insulin in our bodies. The insulin is usually produced with the pancreas, in the pancreas. The way that I have to do it and why I would be called a diabetic versus a normal person is that my pancreas doesn't work. Your pancreas would work. So I just have to take insulin the opposite way. So any fat on my body, typically what we've used is your abdominal, your legs, the thighs, any place that has more meat on it or fat on it versus a muscle. So we need to inject this insulin into a fat cell versus a muscle. So that's what I would describe as insulin. It's just something to regulate our blood sugar, everything that we're eating, to kind of just coordinate together. I'm going to get into some funnier questions. At least the next 2 or 3 I have on my head are going to be funny. So this is a common funny question. Can you eat sugar? Yes, I can eat sugar. Of course, we want to minimize how much sugar. Are we adding sugar, extra sugar to our daily routines, what we're eating? Or is it sugar that's already in something? So typically, a lot of people, we eat sugar that's already in something because certain things we can't control what sugar or how much sugar is in it. So those ones I would say are probably a little bit more better or healthier to eat. If you're eating fruit, there's sugar in those, so you can't take the sugar out of a fruit. If you're eating maybe like Rice Krispies, cereals, snacks, crackers, cheese, those things you also can't just pull out and say, hey, I can't take the sugar out of this one. So you're not going to be able to do that. So a lot of those things I would say are better options than taking a pile of sugar and adding it to some. So I would say it's gonna depend, but we can eat sugar. We need sugar in order to maintain our diabetes, actually. So a lot of people say, "Oh, you can't have sugar," and it's like I need the sugar to survive. So that's what I would say in regards to sugar and candy. I could eat candy, but maybe not as much as a regular person. I would say, just leveling out your sugars. If today it's a birthday party and you're gonna eat a piece of cake, well, eat the piece of cake at the birthday party, but throughout your day, maybe eat higher protein foods, maybe eat salad, and then have your cake, but don't have 10 pieces of cake. The next question. What is Camp Haronda? I'm going to explain it in my words. You guys can also Google Camp Haronda. But Camp Haronda for me was a camp I was able to go to. They help you maintain your diabetes. They help you eat. You count carbs. You have fun. They have like a water station where there's like a lake. You can go swimming, boating, activities. And then they also have like art stations or an art location at the camp. It's an overnight camp, and there are counselors and people there to direct you and help you. There are doctors, nurses, everything is there. So it's basically a camp to let you know you can do anything you want. They have horses. At least when I was going there, they did have horses, so it was fun. They also had archery. They also had rock climbing. There was a lot. If I'm missing anything, I'm sure you can Google it. But for me, what I remember, these are the things I remember. We had little cabins, and there was a mix of boy and girls, but the girls had their own cabins, the boys had their own cabins, but everyone was there. So it was like freedom to know as a child, hey, I can do anything I want as long as I put my mind to it. Now, the last question is, what is type 1 diabetes? So we kind of spoke about this briefly. It comes up, it's going to keep coming up in and out of our episodes. So what diabetes is, again, or type 1 diabetes, because we're going to narrow it down, is just really that your pancreas is not working, or it's working very, very, very slow, or it's not producing enough insulin that you need. So overall, it's something that you need to depend on insulin because your pancreas is not working. Thank you for watching episode number 5. Stay tuned for the next episode. And thank you for listening. Have a good day.